you already live.
Is she over there waiting to get sworn in?
Yeah. Sarah's waiting on us.
I mean, I assume they're not going to have a meeting today.
No, she just wanted.
Oh, yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 3 o'clock. Am I right, Mr. Skinner? So I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Once again, I'd like to give some praise to our friend Robert Abbott over here. Did an extremely good job of being chairman of the board. That's what it says, chairman of the board. Thank you very much, Mr. Abbott, for your time and effort. I really appreciate it. We have in front of you the minutes of our regular monthly meeting on March 20th and the meeting for the emergency meeting we had on March 24th. And if you've had a chance to read those over, I would like to call for a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. We'll now get into our public comments. If anybody has a public comment you'd like to make before the meeting, we have 2 minutes on that. Commissioner?
Okay, thank you very much. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. It's good that public entities will allow public comment. I first of all want to thank you for your work on making voting more accessible to a lot of folks. And I hate to keep using myself as an example, but I'm going to do that because it's so immediate. But you don't know who's disabled. You can't look at me, I hope, and think, well, she's not ill, there's nothing wrong with her. So by the same token, you can't look at all the other citizens and think they're okay. They don't need accessibility, they're okay. But I've already related to you the fact that this long walk used to, it wasn't a problem for me. But now, with the weakened immune system, it is a problem. So I just come on time and try to get in slowly, And so I do want to say, on behalf of all the disabled folks, and I might not look disabled, I am to a certain extent. I have a handicap tag that I use because I can't make those long distances. That I got it after everything else failed. It was the last resort for me, and it is for many, many other citizens. But I want to thank you for the work that you're doing on making sure that everybody has access to voting. And I hope that you'll put the pedal down and find as many other ways that you can help citizens as possible. The other thing, I have concern about your meeting where you didn't have an attorney present, and I was wondering if that's a required thing since you're taking official action. It's just a question. Somebody can tell me later on. And if your actions without an attorney here, if there was some problem with that. I've already mentioned the ADA, and I wanted to ask you if you could, during your meeting today, if you could, and I think it's on here, an early voting update, so I'm especially interested in that, and the senior citizens that are being early voting. Like so many people have gotten used to using it. Many went there during the District 18 early voting and found it wasn't available, so they came over here.
We're going to address that.
So that's all, and I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a comment that it's very helpful for the public to be able to follow these meetings if they're not here by calling up the YouTube recording. And unfortunately, the sound is very poor, and my comment is it would be worthwhile to invest in equipment to make it possible to pick up everyone's comment. And that would really help people to participate who cannot be here, because this is a small group here. So if it is not possible, please, to put the proper equipment into the budget that would enable the broader public to listen, hear what's going on, and be better informed.
Anyone else? Okay, our next order of business is the pre-certification of April 14th special election runoff. Folks, you have it in front of you if you want to review it. Is there any questions on the pre-certification? I'm not sure we vote on this, just got to make sure you can look at it and have any questions.
Mr. Chairman, just on the Godfrey one, I asked Mr. Gill about this beforehand.
Is this the one where?
There's 69 total ballots issued, so 68 were scanned, and what Mr. Gill explained to us is that if there's a printer jam, then sometimes it will count the same ballot basically twice from that. But if the poll pad numbers add up and the scanner adds up, then it's not an issue. So my first thought was maybe one of these ballots walked out the door, but that's apparently the explanation.
Okay, any questions on the certification, pre-certification? Thank you very much. At this point, we'd like to go to certification of special election. Is there a motion to certify?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you very much. We just signed this, right? Yes. And we're going to go ahead and pass this around. Give us a second so we can sign it, and then we'll move on. Thank you, Tom. We'll get that into Charlene. Just waiting on us. Yep. Okay, the next order of business is our appointment of poll managers for the May 19th general primary election. You have your list in front of you. Tom, is there anything we need to know about this list?
They're all either returning pool managers or very experienced assistant managers that got promoted. I think most of them is just returning pool managers. And I would say this would also count for the potential June runoff.
Right, and for the special election that we held in conjunction.
Right. Yeah, that's just another entry on the ballot. So.
Okay, any questions about our poll managers? If not, I entertain a motion to approve our poll managers.
So moved.
Fair second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like none. Thank you very much. Next is our staff report. We'll wait a few minutes, and I think what we can do until Tom gets back. Is there anything legal you need to talk about, William? What, did I read where some lawsuit got dropped?
The SB 189.
Well, do you want to talk about that for a second?
Grace is probably better to talk about it,
Well,
but there was essentially an agreement between the two parties that ended
Right.
lawsuit.
There's one of the many lawsuits we were involved in, going back to Senate Bill, but the House Bill 189.
It was 189.
From years.
This one was county.
Yes, sir.
The other one's two.
What's that?
Oh, Mr. Miller, I've got two other things. One is just, if you could provide an answer to that question about whether we're required to have an attorney present.
Looking at it now, I'm not aware of a requirement.
Yeah, I mean, my impression is that it's wise, but I'm not sure that it's required, although I think that certainly would have been helpful at one time.
It would have been, I missed one meeting and I really wish I could.
And the other question is, we've got July 1st coming up.
I'm sorry?
We've got July 1st coming up.
We have that on our, Tom's going to talk about that.
And I'll be happy to
Let's talk about that
I mean, I don't know that my comments particularly helpful. I think everyone in the state needs direction right? We got a law about, that we just, you have to comply with this without direction about it, and I don't think at this point anyone knows whether there's going to be a special emergency session call to address it, or whether Secretary of State's going to have to address it in a way that. But my thought is it's going to have to be uniform among the counties, and that's the only comfort I can really take, and I'm sure it's not easy.
Did y'all have a phone call about that today?
Yes, with Blake Evans, and he basically says, right now, we don't know.
When I looked at it, the only thing I thought we really needed to do was to take the QR code off.
You'd have to reprogram it. You're right, because our trash can, I call them ballot counters, and count absentee ballots, is the old bubble used in college or high school. But you have to retrain the BMD to do that. And that market device is screening. Or you can just have something where everybody uses it. I don't know, but there are people working on it. I do know that. I do know that we have a May election coming up very soon that we need to concentrate on. Be very, in the back of our mind, keep mind what we're going to have to do on July 1st. I don't think that the state knows. We don't know if there's going to be a special session. He got a call today from Blake, and Blake said they don't know. So there's a simple fix, like you said, and that's.
So my question is, if you take the QR code off and they mark it on the machine, does the machine mark it, or we have, that's what you want to reprogram the
See,
machine
that
so that it'll mark it on?
See, the machine right now has a QR code, and it prints the names of the people you vote for. There's not an absentee ballot looking ballot. The only way to make that work is if everybody got an absentee looking ballot, where you filled it in, with a pencil. And when you have an absentee ballot, that's what you're doing, fill in those little bubbles, right? And they send it here, we can scan it with our scanner in the room there. However, the big trash can scanners can scan those type of ballots as well. And so, if somehow everybody was able to get hold of an absentee ballot, but the problem with that is we'd have to have them all in every precinct. You'd have to be able to do that. And it's just a big cluster right now. I hate to say it.
And the state would have to do that. We have to provide absentee ballots.
They have to provide everything.
We order our ballots, like we usually order ballots every election for provisional ballots, emergency ballots, and absentee. So we just order far more than we have ever in the past. To get the B&Bs to print out something usable, they have to have a little tick mark on the side, and that tells the tabulator where to look for the particular bubbles. If the bubble is on this location, that tells it you're voting for John Doe. If the bubble is here, the tick marks tell it, oh, that's the vote for Mary Doe, and that's what. So it wouldn't be an easy thing to reprogram, but somebody's smart than they can do it.
But if they can do it for writing in, you think they'd be able to do it for the machine to do it too?
Right. The absentee / provisional / emergency ballot now can be read by the tabulators.
Right.
Without any issue. So if we had to do it right now, with just the 10 marked ballots was good. It would be less expensive if we found a way to print out ballots as needed.
Right.
But
We don't have a printer.
we don't have those printers set up to do that.
You'd have to have a printer in each precinct to print off an absentee ballot for everybody that comes up, based upon where they vote.
Right.
And which precinct, that early voting sites, you have to have a printer there, and you have to get in line and ask for an absentee, and ask for a ballot, and you have to take the time to print that ballot off. Right. You make huge lines, and a lot of people are happy. I don't know any other way, but that's why they say they're really smart, and they're gonna figure it out. We keep telling you.
The one silver lining is that we don't have to make the choice.
Right, it's like I said, there's nothing we can do as a county until we get direction from the state. Do you agree with that?
But if we don't do something, all the counties don't do something, they're in violation
Of the new state law.
Right.
Right. And how they didn't do anything about it, I have no idea.
I've got some ideas.
Well, I do too, but I'm not saying out loud. Okay, Tom, let's get to your staff report, please.
Sure. Numbers are on the screen if needed. We had 105,248 active voters, 10,422 inactive voters, for a grand total of 115,607 voters. That was as of Tuesday on the 14th. We're now able to start working off the numbers on Jarvis, so the BDS numbers are going to be going down, as is Oliver and hopefully the pending voters as well. 5,865 BDS, 84 to Oliver, and 213 pending.
Do we have a plan to get that number? Well, I mean, I know it was over 7,000 last time, but 5,800 is still.
Still up, so yeah, we
Still way too high.
anyone who registers or moves before the 20th of we can handle, even if we're getting them into the system after that deadline. The deadline is there from my
So if somebody has done the registration properly and is eligible to vote, then they're going to be able to vote in the May 19th election if they're part of these numbers.
Yes, as long as they don't register after the 20th, or move after the 20th.
Presumably, none of the numbers listed here are people who registered after the 20th.
Right, exactly.
So everybody on this list is qualified.
Yeah, they should be.
Right now, one more question. I assume we had no issues in District 5 of people not being able to vote this election.
There's questions of where people weren't sure which district they were in, but so someone came in and I pointed out, if you live on this side of the street, you're in 8. If you live in that side of the street, you're in 5. So
What I mean is that,
no mistakes.
and if people, then obviously the one provisional ballots, like we not discussed, are poll manager told everyone asked her to get one.
Right. Before the meeting up, a lot of them called down to the office, and the office registrars double checked everything first.
Okay.
What exactly is the training on operating provisional ballots? Because not every voter knows those magic words of please give me a provisional ballot. But some may be in a circumstance where they have a good faith understanding that they're supposed to be able to vote. How are those people handled?
If they are outside the precinct, first of all, so we can't do a provisional ballot until after 5 o'clock.
Correct.
So we're required to send them to their own precincts. After 5 o'clock, it's still preferable if they go to their own precinct, but if they wish to vote on where they are, we can do that. If it's very rare for them, for us to have an election where they say there's no ballot available for you. This being one of those occasions, because some people in Doctrine 1 or Bible 6 or so forth are they live on the wrong side of whatever the border is. If they don't particularly ask for a provisional, we don't necessarily volunteer it. If they do, we do. But if the system says they're in 8, then whether they do a provisional or not, it wouldn't be counted.
Correct. But in their mind.
Well, the purpose of the provisional ballot is to give some time to adjudicate that issue, in case there's any confusion.
And that's why they've been calling down to the office all day.
Well, I just think this board, and I think I can speak for most of it, will make it perfectly clear that the word provisional ballot is pretty much word. And if anybody asks one, we can give it.
Right.
And we'll make that as clear as that. Because that's the law. Now, I agree with you, the limitations on it is before 5 o'clock and we're out of precinct, too bad.
They can't.
You're at 30 on precinct. But if somebody says, I'm in District 8, I should be in 5, I believe I'm in 5, I swear I'm in 5, they'll vote. It's not going to count, but you know what?
Unless they're right.
Unless they're right. And so we seem to not have the exact, I hope we have exactly what we need. get these things straight, so, let's hope we got that straight, and let's work on that number really fast, it doesn't. Tom, let's talk about, if you don't mind, a couple of things, the early voting and the voting annex update, which is, like,
This is what I would.
it's already started working, folks, if you look up there, we've already started it, go ahead, Tom.
Right, that which one was the Sears cleaners, and then a hearing aid right outside the door where the military recruiting officers are. They had started working on it, there's drywall up there that hasn't been there before. Some of the interior doors have been taken out, and the carpeting has been taken out. Our goal is to have it ready for the November election, if we can, and it's not up to me when we get ready, but if it can get finished in time for the June runoff, that would be ideal. That's the decision I would be pretty busy. I'm not with him. Fixing it up, but that'd be nice. Sure.
Mr. Chairman, when I spoke to Alex Morrison, I was given the impression that this was ready for the May 19th election. Is that not correct?
That hadn't been communicated to me.
Okay. If that's not the case, then we need to make sure that we have those golf carts in place
That will happen.
on day one of early voting.
That'll get back.
And I can tell you that I thought Mrs. Lucas was very gentle in her comments at the beginning here in terms of dealing with the real problem we've been talking about for some time. To be clear, I'm confident we did everything that's legally necessary to conduct the election that we just completed. But I am tremendously disappointed in how this election was conducted. And to go from 2 locations in the first round to 1 location without clear communication to this board or the public is a real problem. I found out on Monday that early voting started, that we were down to 1 early voting location. And I did not find out for this office. I found out because the president stated no place to be told, and she was rightly displeased. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you and the mayor for the work that you did in making sure that we did get the golf carts in place by Thursday for early voting, but that also means that practically, if you had serious mobility issues, there were essentially 2 days of early voting if you knew that was available to you. This can't keep going on. There was poor communication, there were poor decisions made, and the outcome was that we had less access to the franchise than there should have been. And you might say, well, it was just barely 1,000 people who voted. And believe me, I wish that more people in District 5 had taken advantage of that opportunity. We on this board can't control that, but we can control how accessible the franchise is. And I think that we fell flat on our face in this last election.
You know, I'm not going to completely disagree with you that egress and regress of this place have been problem. Day one, and the time we started, trying to fix it. Hopefully we'll have it done by May for handicap and other voters out front, and we did get the golf course, and thank you for that. And they will be here if we don't, not able to use that. We should have had them years ago. But listen, we'll all do the best we can with what we have been handling. And I think that for the next election we have coming up in May, we will have all 3 sites open. The Senior Citizen Center, the Fair Nursery, and the Theater. Those will be open, and we already have it in May and Runoff in June, all 3 locations, and in November. We will have this place open up, hopefully, scheduled by November, so we're trying to get better at what we do. It's just my opinion that I think we need another other site somewhere in this town, maybe South Macon somewhere. I know we have to only hear that 55% of our voters are voting early. And so we have to accommodate as we go. Precincts are very important, but they don't serve the purpose they used to, because so many people vote early. And if they're going to vote early, we have to make it accessible, just like the precinct. And so I would think somewhere along the line in the next few years, or whenever we have money. I know there's a big new, is there a center down in Rosella somewhere? What's that new? What's the new? South Bibb. We have a facility in South Bibb, like Paranussery, and like Senior Center, that the county owns. It's bigger and better, you know, it's huge. And we could put an early voting site there. And so, I know I'm kind of talking out of turn, but that's just my, it's not something we can do this year, but in our off year next year, something.
Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, I mean, I hate asking this, but our next meeting, as I see the calendar, is going to be after the May 19th election. So I want to be very clear, how many early voting locations are we going to have open to that election?
So for May and June, we'll have all three.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I break up a little thing? I was a little flat-footed earlier when y'all asked about SB 189 there. I remind myself. There was some agreement to submit a declaratory judgment at one point, and that's what I was thinking about, but the court ultimately issued an order dismissing the suit as for lack of standing, which is something that happens in these types of cases. Standing to sue is the issue that we've actually been injured or not. We have an injury back. And the court dismissed the action as
Are we still involved in the other lawsuit?
the oldest one. The SB 202 litigation, what we used to call the 6th District AME. Before it became the SB 202 was consolidated. What is
It's going on.
now? It's in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, so it's not actively, things aren't actively happening in district court. But that's the oldest one, and that's the one that's still.
And how old is this?
Goes back to SB 202, was that in 2021?
Yeah, it's 5, 6 years old.
The SB 189 case came up in 24, and that case came up in 24.
Okay, I can't think of anything else we need to talk about. We talked about a lot. What's going to happen first? Moving forward, and now we get into public comments. 2 minutes, everybody, anybody. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Tom.
Sorry, anyone on here, we'll add that, I talked to, Barbara Marlin yesterday. She's, our IC, one of our IC people in spearheading at least our side of the website. So we are, working on the design for the new website and what we need to put on there.
What are our plans for making sure it remains up to date?
That's part of what we discussed. There are going to be sections for hopefully a little more well designed to make it clear where the announcements are going to be.
But who's going to update? We have to send one first.
You still have to send it to IT. So we do our part on our time.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, public comments, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Regarding the question that came up about provisional ballots, as I have talked to people who work at the polls, well, first of all, I know the answer that you gave is what the law is, or what it says you're supposed to do. But I'm not sure that the trainers are training the poll workers that way. I would feel better if we had someone who did the training to tell us what they tell the poll workers.
Skinny, do you want to comment on?
I normally wouldn't comment on it, but we comment on it.
You as a trainer.
I'm one of the two trainers who trains. The terms of provisional ballots, what Regina and I both tell them is that provisional ballots have to be provided. If a person questions that they should be receiving a ballot, You gentlemen, do not tell them to turn anyone away regarding provisional ballot. The process is, once they are, they call here to the registrars. The registrars check the registration. We see that they have voted in a previous election as well, saying that they maybe got on the ballot and they were voted. But if they're saying that they are not having a ballot, then we say, give them a provisional ballot. Let it be cured here, not by you saying that you don't do the provisional ballot. Now, they're saying that they got other things. I told everybody, when they picked up their poll pads on election day, that exact same thing that I told you. Now, if there's a vagueness to it, please let me know and I will take them inside that. But I tell them they are supposed to allow them to get a provisional ballot. Now, we are curtailed by the 5 o'clock rule. It turns precinct. But once that is over, they are supposed to get a provisional ballot. No questions, no limits.
Yes, ma'am.
I am a poll worker. I've been a poll worker for years. And it is certainly true, it is true that Mr. Skinner does a great job with the training. I think that with respect to all of the questions and problems and complaints that have come up, I think it needs to get some extra emphasis, and there are a lot of classes. The classes go on for 2 weeks, and maybe some people don't get this emphasis. So my question and my request would be to put special emphasis on offering a forbid, because I don't remember.
And I know everybody wrote about this most everybody. There was not a back and forth. However, this last election, we made sure that that was emphasized. All 6 of our polling locations got the same exact warning. Do not give someone a provisional ballot.
And if I could just comment on that, because I was not working with polls at
That's
the
right.
precinct, so I would not have heard that training. I'm up for training in about a week for the primary, so I'm very glad to do that.
Get ready.
And I hope that it continues. Thank you.
Anyone else comment? Okay,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
this meeting, has brought up, some additional questions and some focus areas that I wanted to support. And the training on the provisional, that was one of the things that I had put down. I don't think people are up to where they need to be as far as knowing about provisionals. And I know there are different circumstances, and some might have been trained, but I'm telling you, there are still a lot of people who are not off the provisional, and some who are sent. If it's right at 5, I mean, common sense should tell you, let the person vote provisional ballot. My own sister was sent scurrying across town. She was at one place and then she had to go all the way to Little Georgia State. My own sister, and she was just as frustrated, but she's a committed voter, so she did that extra. She should have been offered a provisional. And just think, now, she's a dedicated voter. Just think about those who are less committed or, want to vote for some folks, but this poses a hardship. So I just wanted to say that training is so important. I also wanted to ask if y'all have entertained the idea of when you notify citizens that their voting place has been changed, that they get the notification, not in the plain white envelopes, which they can mistake for junk mail. I check every piece of mail, even if it's to go to the Players Club to gamble, or if it's to whatever it is, free dinner in exchange for buying something, all of that. out of everything, because I don't wanna miss something. A lot of people aren't that careful if it's a white envelope, it just gets trashed, but something a bright gold or bright blue, whatever y'all determine. I don't think y'all are as aggressive as you can be. You wield a lot of influence and power, but you're hesitant to do all of the things that you're allowed to do that are perfectly legal to do, because your main thing is to promote voting. You're to promote voting, regardless to who it is, and whoever chooses to take you up on, your challenge for them to vote, so be it. But I just wish that y'all would please notify all those folks who are going through a polling place change. Send them something in even a bright postcard. I've got a little postcard that is bright gold, has a little white stripe on the side of it. A postcard would even work better because they wouldn't have to open an envelope. So something like that, a big postcard that would be more noticeable. And I think that would suffice as far as the notification. Then the last thing, and I know I'm over my 2 minutes, I appreciate y'all indulging me, but that Citizens Advisory Committee that I think was mentioned some time ago, I think would be a really good idea, as a sounding board for all of you in carrying out your duties. And it could be a broad spectrum of folks from the community, interested organization, balance, and they tell you what's going on out here, because you're not gonna get everything, but it would help you with making sure that your PR campaign was carried out among all the citizens. So I just wanted to make those recommendations. There's nothing illegal about any of these things. It will all serve to promote what you're trying to do, and that is to increase 5.9% voter turnout in this last run was awful. I was so upset about that. And it's not all the voters. It's gotta be something else that's missing. I appreciate y'all letting me say this, but voting is important.
Any other comments?
I have a comment or a request concerning the website. Last time I checked, the Macon-Bibb website does have, under the commission, there is a checkbox to see the Board of Elections documents. Last time I checked, it's empty. So it would be wonderful to start seeing that on the website, and from what I'm hearing, I'm understanding that this is an IT issue. So my feeling is it needs to be possible for users of the Board of Elections website and the commission website to have some kind of input into what we see publicly posted. And I am perfectly willing to call up the IT department and the new IT director and ask for a meeting. So my question, right? So I mean that sounds a little bit like it would be.
Thank you very much.
Squeaky wheel.
Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We need to adjourn. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Talk to you later, Rob.
Sure.